What's up? I'm Ayla.
Hi, I'm Beth Ann.
And this is Let's Talk BL, a boys love podcast.
Welcome back to Sunday.
Welcome back to the podcast. It's Sunday, Series Sunday.
Like, how do you do this? I don't even know.
It's only been 1 week.
I know. Each week it's fresh and new. It's like the first day we've started.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, chock full of spoilers. So you have not watched Between Us.
It just wrapped up today. That's the reason that this Series Sunday is so late in the day, as we had to finish.
Just like the series, you have to wait until the very last minute to get the series Sunday. We're gonna talk. It's gonna be a thing.
Yeah,
it's an experience
for sure.
Okay, let's get to the nuts and bolts before we make everyone mad and they log off and never
Who is
listen
this
to us
we?
again.
I feel like my opinions aren't that controversial.
I mean, I actually have no idea because I didn't pay attention to the conversation around the show at all.
Oh, I did. This show's popping off on TikTok.
So, right, the TikTok. So yeah, nuts and bolts, produced by Wabi Sabi. It is the side story from Until We Meet Again because it like happened parallel to that storyline. Because I think everyone was so excited about WinTeam, like Boon Prem. They were like, "Give me Boon Prem more." So I'm imagining that's how it got made. I actually have no idea. I'd be curious to know if this was so fan popular.
I know.
How?
So this is actually like a pretty popular story. So Hemp Rope was actually written, like the book itself was already written. You could go read the novel.
Right.
And yes, the fans wanted WinTeam, Boon Prem, WinTeam, but actually it was Boon that was like, we need to make this, and like pushed really, really, really hard for it.
I mean, what Boon wants, Boon gets.
Yes.
It's on iQIYI, 12 episodes, potentially a special episode. People want it. Who knows? We'll see. It stars Boon as Win and Prem as Team.
Truly the original ponytail.
Boon Prem. I know. Mine isn't high enough.
The original ponytail.
The blonde. The tattoos.
The ponytail to start all ponytails. I mean, truly, this man had his ponytail back during Until We Meet Again.
No, the ponytail that paved the way.
Yes.
The ponytails are having a moment right now, and I am living for it.
Oh, yeah. It's so good. And listen, I'm not trying to be like, listen, Boss did not do this, but Boss did not pave the way. Boon paved the way.
Yeah.
Like, everybody really loves to try and credit the whole ponytail sitch to Boss, but like, no. Let us not forget our roots, people. Okay.
Yes. Until We Meet Again, it happened.
Yes.
I mean, Win was a whole experience. For him to have had maybe like 10 minutes of screen time and Until We Meet Again, honestly, that was the character that I was like, changed my life.
Yeah, you loved him. You told me that entire show was garbage except for WinTeam. And then I watched that show.
No.
You did. I have it written. I screenshotted it.
It was garbage because I would never say that because I never say things are garbage. But I do say it wasn't for me. There was a ton of crying. It felt unnecessary. It was very dramatic.
I'm going to post the screenshot, you guys.
Do it. Because I didn't say it was garbage. I was like, you should wait on this one because it's so emotional. And because you're so emotional, I was like, why would you want to cry the whole time? I was like, I'm not going to make you suffer. Especially given that first episode and Until We Meet Again, I was like, why am I going to make you do this? I'm going to make you suffer through Turn Type first. Mm-hmm. And then you'll appreciate Until We Meet Again even more. Mm-hmm. That's why I did it.
Sure.
I was looking out for you.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. The synopsis. It's a long synopsis.
It is a long synopsis.
I think it's from the book. Is where this comes from.
Okay. Team is a talented swimmer who just entered university. However, when it comes to swim competitions, he's never able to perform to the best of his abilities. When swim team upperclassman Win comes to know that the problem doesn't lie in Team's abilities or dedication, but rather his trauma and the sleeping difficulties it causes, he offers up his own room for Team to stay in.
Like you do.
Of course. With the comfort of company, Team's performance starts to improve and feelings start to grow between the two young men. But Team isn't the only one with issues from his past preventing him from moving forward. Win struggles with how to handle receiving love and how to give special treatment to those closest to him. Occurring parallel to the events of Until We Meet Again, this story focuses on how Win and Team come to know and inspire growth in each other.
That synopsis gives you more information than the entire series.
I don't know. I started to I understood Win. You never really did, it seemed like, get on board with Win's whole situation.
I was like, what is your problem, dude? We have no clue. We have no, like, his parents are there. Sure, his dad is like putting pressure on his older brother, but like there was never really a direct conflict between Win and his dad, and all the brothers are really close. So it didn't really make sense within the conflict of the family. And then we don't get a ton of information about who Win is. Like he has a bestie in Dean. They seem to be good. Everything seems pretty decent in his life. I didn't understand.
Yeah,
I
mean, it was interesting because when I watched Until We Meet Again, I was like, I don't understand why people like WinTeam so much. I have been in Until We Meet Again. I was given no reason to care about WinTeam besides the fact they both like potato chips. I also like potato chips. Maybe we're in a throuple. Cool. Love that for us. Like, apparently, if that's the bar, is Team enjoying potato chips together, then like, rad. I'm in this WinTeam Ayla throuple. Okay. So, like, in Until We Meet Again, I actually was like low-key anti-WinTeam.
Yeah,
and
were,
like
for sure.
I posted about it on TikTok. I got real heat on TikTok about it. But I was like, listen, the fact of it is, it's not that, like, I love Boone and Prem.
Yeah.
Beautiful, great actors, the talent, we stand. Right? But WinTeam, in Until We Meet Again, I was never given a reason if I watch Until We Meet Again. Now, come at me with the whole read the novel. I didn't read the novel. I don't know what to tell you. My experience is based on I watched the show.
You know, that's pretty common with series based on novels, is that people are so devoted to the characters they know from the novels that they get so heated when we watch a series and they're in the series but there's not development. You saw it with Cutie Pie, you saw it with Ken Porsche, all these people being like, but this, and there's a very distinct separation between the people who read the novels and the people who watch the series, and you cannot overlap them. You have to give credit to people who are just watching the series and being like, you're not given enough information, so it's not worth it to be like you shouldn't care about them as much as Dean and Parm in Until We Meet Again. Like, you shouldn't.
Yeah, and so, I mean, there are, of course, so many people that read the novels and watch the show and take them for what they are, which, like, in most cases are two very separate works.
Right.
And, like, on our Discord, which, by the way, or the Discord that we are members of, it is not our Discord, we don't run it, but the Discord that we are members of, one of the members, Allie, shout out Allie, is amazing, reads all the novels, also watches all the shows, like, has perfect, impeccable opinions at all times, and is always willing to, like, explain to you, well, this is the novel, blah, 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 blah. And so, like, that's kind of how it impacts the show. And so we'll put the link to the Discord that we're members of in the description of this if you're not already a member. It's an awesome place. It's a really cool place to have these discussions. But back during Until We Meet Again, which I thought was a masterpiece. Like, I, in fact, was upset that I didn't watch it sooner because once I watched it, I was like, this show is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
I didn't like Win and Team. So when I watched Between Us, it took me a while. I really struggled. I really struggled with this show, but probably by like episode 8 or 9, I was really feeling for Win. Like, I understood him, and I understood that, like, sometimes for me, when I was watching Win, no one was more surprised than I was. That I was like, yes, Win. He makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Sometimes there doesn't have to be either A, a public trauma that everyone knows about, or B, there doesn't even need to be a trauma to cause someone to have trouble accepting and giving love. Like, sometimes that's just how you're built.
He's just emotionally stunted.
Sometimes it's just something that you go through. Sometimes, particularly somebody like Win, who is very driven, who has watched, right? Because there is a level of trauma, like, as somebody with siblings, to watching your sibling go through something like that with a parent. There is a level of trauma to that because you watch it happen and you get scared about, okay, this is going to happen to me. Like this, it does impact you.
Right.
And so, like, weirdly, in this one, I didn't need to be given a reason as to why he was struggling with this. It was enough for me that he was expressing, because half the time they don't express it. Now, did he express it to him? No. But he was expressing to many, many people.
So many people, literally everyone around him, except for the boy that he's in the relationship with.
Eventually, he did express it to Team, but he was expressing,
Through a
hey,
song.
I'm struggling with this.
Yeah.
And he was asking for help, that he was struggling with something. That was enough for me. I wasn't angry
Yeah.
with him for struggling with it. Sometimes people just struggle.
I wasn't angry with him with struggling. I was just like, I don't get it. I'm like, bro, just use your big boy words. Just talk to the boy that you love. Like, it got to a certain point where we kept flashing back to that conversation that he had with Brooke and Dean, where he's like, I feel the feelings. I don't know what these feelings are. And they're like, I think it's love, bro. And he's like, I don't know. And like, and Team was doing it with his friends as well. And it was just constantly like they're having conversations with everyone else. This is a thing that I think of, that I am like in real life, is that I'm not someone who goes to a lot of people to get opinions on what I should and shouldn't do. And so when I watch other people do that, I'm like, at some point you got to take responsibility and make a decision for yourself. And that's what frustrates me in seeing characters do that, is that like, you can only get advice for so long before you have to make a decision for yourself, and before you actually have to act on whether or not you're going to do the thing that you want to do, because you have to take responsibility. And I think that was a little bit frustrating with both of these characters, because at some point, and we were talking about this earlier I was like, there's no real onus on either one of them to be the first person to say, I like you or I love you. They kind of are both on solid, like they're both on even ground within the relationship. Now, Team is going through a lot with his childhood trauma, but that's unrelated to their relationship.
Right. I mean, I will say I think the onus was on Win to confess first,
Okay.
because Win very much was
the instigator.
He was the instigator. Okay. He also was the one driving whether or not they were going to be boyfriends, right? Like he was the one, the onus was on him. He was the one that liked him first. He was the one that pursued him. He was the pursuer. At every turn, at every opportunity, he was the pursuer.
Because when they were laying in bed and he is like, will you be my boyfriend? Is it Team that's like, did you mean to ask that question? And Win was like, do you have an answer for me? Isn't that how that conversation went? And he was like, I need time.
Right, because he didn't want to he's having his childhood trauma moment. Yes. That he wasn't willing to share with him, which I actually think is fair, because fast forwarding to episode 11, he was like, because you don't use your words with me.
Yeah.
He was like, it's hard for me to understand whether or not I'm special or if I'm just reading into this.
Yeah.
And so he very much was like, I think maybe I'm just reading into this. And so I don't want to be the one that's putting myself out there if I'm reading into something.
Props to Boone and Prem. That whole scene where they're singing a song to each other, they did it so sincerely and so earnestly that I actually didn't hate it. It could be pretty cringe where you're like,
I felt a little
let's
cringe.
test the guitar back and forth.
Of cringe.
But you didn't have cringe with the Love in the Air song singing to each other, and I did in that one. So yeah, this is a moment where it's honestly, two very stunted boys trying to communicate to each other. If song and dance is what we got to do, I love to dance and sing at each other. So.
Yeah. Now, in that episode, one thing I did take particular offense to was the plywood walls. Why are we in a murder hotel? Doesn't Wynn's family own this place?
Yes, he does.
Why are we in some sort of murder shack? What is happening here?
Yeah, the plywood was interesting. It was is this okay, so I don't know if this is everywhere, but in the States, especially in the early 2000s, there was a very popular, and it still happens now, where you take the shipping containers from trains and you make them into houses.
My sister lived in one for years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a thing. This is like that, but
but make it a murder shack? What?
Make it weirder.
Like, it's so creepy and weird, and there's like weird psychedelic posters on the wall. Like, I don't understand what like 60s, 70s, 80s like hell dimension this room crawled out of, but it was horrifying to me.
I mean, at least they got to level up in the like the honeymoon hotel.
Oh, sure, right. When Team is like going through it over his P, who he's murdered, or he feels in his heart that he's murdered, and he needs to come be picked up. And then instead of taking him home, he takes him to this like roadside hotel.
Apparently, Wynn's family owns literally every hotel in the
Thailand,
Bangkok metropolitan area, which is amazing.
I love that for him.
I mean, I will say Wynn and Team ended on a great note. I felt very satisfied by where they got to. We got lots of lovely conversations about, that conversation that Wynn and Team have in relation to Dean and Parm about how I love the quote where he was like, Dean told me don't value others that don't value you. And man, what a life lesson for like everybody everywhere anyways. But like, it's so true, especially in the time and place that we live in now, that like we can get so caught up in this idea that like others' opinions are important and others' opinions should matter. But like ultimately the people who value us are the people who are going to support us. And those are the people that we really need to focus on, because you're going to get hate from people no matter who you are or what you do. And especially in the like LGBTQ plus world, they're going to get hate from people who just don't know them, who don't understand them, who don't have perspective on it, who just have never had exposure to people. And so that was just a sweet conversation, because I love how they ended that conversation where Wynn is like, well, do you feel the same way about us? And Team is like, if I told you no, would you believe me? And it wasn't, I don't think it was about Wynn Team in that moment. He was really concerned for his friend, and he like didn't really see himself in that situation, where he was like, a lot of Wynn's character, and this kind of leads to the next conversation we can have, is Wynn's character is pretty selfish in a lot of his reactions to things. And so he couldn't imagine Team not putting himself in that same position, because you see it when Wynn rescues Team from the drowning, which as a swimmer, I don't understand. If you get a Charlie horse while you're swimming in a pool, just your leg is injured, like your upper body is fine, and you could tread water to the side, like, or the rope, the lane line was right there, he could just do the thing. It's not believable. I don't believe it.
Yeah, I think in that moment, Team is genuinely just worried about Parm, because also like Wynn tells him, he's like, well, Dean doesn't care. He's like, I asked Dean, and Dean doesn't care. And so sweet, Team's reaction is, but this would hurt Parm's feelings. Yeah. He said, like, because for him, right, because for Team, he was like, this is about my friend. He was like, I know my friend and I care about him, and I know this is going to hurt him, and I want to stand up for him. And so very, very much like because Team has always been like one of the best friends. Like, that's one of the greatest things about Until We Meet Again is the friends, right? Is that friend group. And so, yeah, I mean, it is rough. I will say, like, I don't think, and I do take exception to like the idea that like, oh, people will hate on a specific community because they don't know any better, because they're scared, because this, because that. Like, the fact of the matter is, it's 2023, and I used to say this last year too, it's 2022. No matter how you were raised, no matter what you have or had not had personal exposure to, we all have the internet. We all have these little rectangles that we carry around with us that hold all of the information in the world that you can learn. You can learn about the things that you were taught, that you were not taught, that you were exposed to, that you were not exposed to. Like, we hold the world in our hands, and saying that it's okay, or that it's not that it's okay, but like that there's a reason behind bigotry in 2023, I 100% disagree with. Like, I personally have cut ties with like family, like straight up family, because when I called out very racist speech, the answer I got was, he's just scared, he doesn't know. And I was like, no, I was like, I don't accept that. It's 2022. Like, this happened last year. I was like, it's 2022. We can all learn better about our conscious or unconscious biases. Right. So there is something to say about that, is that like, actually, like, everybody's going to get hate, but it's not because people know or don't know things. It's because there are still bigots in this world. Like,
Well,
it just is what it is.
I think I would disagree because you have to be in relationship with people to understand that. And it takes so much work for people to be in relationship with people who are different from them, because a lot of times we're in relationship with people who are so similar to us. And I've had friends, I mean, my parents even, who have been in relationship with people that are very different from them, but until that person had a conversation about the struggles they went through, they were like, oh, like I never saw it that way, right? So I think being in relationship with people is the thing. Like, yes, you can learn about it, and it's somebody who was in social scientists or social sciences, I learned a lot in the classroom about like what, you know, the world, what exists in the world, and like how different people live, and like what looked like. But until I went out into the world and actually and like the nuance of each individual, right? Like Nanon talked about this, where he's in relationship with a ton of people, but until he really like had a relationship with these people and saw it, it's hard to really understand or to comprehend like a person behind a label, right? Like those people, I would give them the benefit of the doubt to be like, well, why don't you interact with people who you seem to have some issue with, based on this idea that like it's just a way that you were taught, right? And so then you go out into the world and you interact with people who are different from you, and then suddenly you're like, oh, they're not that different from me. Like they are people just like you and I. They happen to believe a different thing or love a different person or that kind of thing. So I think it takes a little bit more than just like learning stuff. I think it takes like being in relationship with people and having that type of interaction so that you understand that like we're all human.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like, maybe because I am a naturally curious person, I am like, I have always naturally, like, I have a lot of degrees because I just enjoy school.
Right.
Like, I also have a lot of student loan debt, so like, you know, but I also have just always been a naturally curious person. Like, I have always wanted to travel, and I have like sacrificed, and like I have been super poor and like not been able to pay bills because I wanted to like go somewhere, right? And so like, maybe that's why I can't understand the idea. And anytime I have been scared of something, my natural response has been to learn about it. Like, I, as a kid, was really scared of guns because I had to watch Pay It Forward. I watched Pay It Forward as like a child, like an actual child, like before I went into high school. And there's like gun violence in that movie, and I was just like terrified of guns. And I got so scared of guns that finally one day I decided, I don't want to be scared of guns anymore. I realized I didn't know how guns work. So I learned how to shoot a gun. I learned like how guns work and what guns are.
You're that person in the horror movie that goes into the house.
And like but then all of a sudden I was less scared.
Yeah.
Because I understood like how the mechanism of this thing worked, and that it really was just a hunk of metal until you did something with it. And it's the same thing with like, I'm terrified of snakes. I have learned, I know exactly what degree it has to get for it to be too cold for snakes. I know exactly where they like to hide. I know the difference between all the snakes because I like, naturally my response is, if I'm scared of something, let me learn about it. And so maybe that's why I have a hard time understanding why, if you have the ability to learn about something that you're scared of and then to see and make it human, right? Because we all have YouTube. We all have like, you can have these very like one-on-one personal experiences with something without having to go out into the world and do it, thanks to the magic of the internet and just how connected the world is nowadays. And so it's just like, it's really hard for me to like reconcile in my brain how somebody could still have active bigotry,
which is how it comes back to WinTeam. If they would just talk to each other and get to know each other more, they would understand that they're both
idiots.
in love with each other.
No, they're both idiots. It's true. No, I did like, they had a nice their little broccoli moment in the end was very sweet and cute.
I mean, shout out Wabi Sabi. This is, I think, the first show that they had merch for.
Really?
They had the jackets. They had the broccoli.
I didn't realize there was no merch for it until we meet again.
I mean, what would it be? A red thread? Because there wasn't really anything for Dean and Parm. I mean, there was some questionable things in there, but like merch, like they could have done the jackets. But also, I'm pretty sure like COVID happened quickly after Until We Meet Again came out.
Right. I remember them doing a fan meeting situation like long after the show had come out because
Yeah.
they had to postpone it.
They had so much fan stuff for
Yeah.
Until We Meet Again, which is there's so many good clips on the YouTube.
Oh yes.
It's
Speaking
so
of Until We
good.
Meet Again, one thing that I did love about this show, I actually liked a lot about this show more than I thought I would. I was like really struggling with this show, really struggling,
Yeah.
but I did like it more than I thought that I would. After the first, because the first few episodes I'm watching and
It's
I'm like,
hard, yeah.
oh, this is rough for me. But I love the way Until We Meet Again was weaved in. Like, truly, I thought this was like the moment in Vice Versa when I was like, when you see Omen and None on the screen, and I started crying, and I was like, I didn't know this
So
about myself.
attached.
I saw them on the screen, and I start crying, and I was like, what is happening to me? The same thing happened when, except I knew this was gonna happen to me.
Yeah.
As soon as I heard the song started playing, and
my
whole body just like went into convulsions.
Shout
I was
out,
like
boy.
freaking out. And then the scene in the grocery store when the beans fall and Fluke starts crying, I lost it. So all of the Until We Meet Again, because I do think that show's a masterpiece, was really nice for me as like an Until We Meet Again stan.
And you know what? I appreciate that they used the clip from the original Until We Meet Again so that Fluke didn't have to cry in the series.
It's true.
Some of the best Dean Parm moments were included in Between Us, and it was like it felt like justice for Dean and Parm, where it's like we don't have to be emotional all the time. Like they get to just be happy and in love.
They are sweet boyfriends. Yes, it's very sweet.
Cute. I did like at the end where Win was like, I never cared about getting into a relationship. I never cared about loving someone until I saw Dean find Parm, until I saw the red thread connection, and he was like, whoa, like that is real love, like that's what love could be for me. And he was like, and then he was like, and then I found Team, and you're the boy that I wanted to do it with.
Yeah, I heard that conversation and I was like, I don't know if I was the fan in this situation, I don't know that I would necessarily like, I might take that kind of sideways.
Well, the way he worded it was he was like, I knew that I wanted love and then I found you.
Right. It's almost like he was like, I don't know if we had met like a year earlier, like we never really got together kind of thing. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how I felt about that.
They'd still be F buddies.
Yeah.
Because that was the whole thing, is that like they weren't really F buddies because they just F'd once as far as we know.
Was the bathroom scene with the crazy lady on the bathroom door?
Right.
Is the implication
right that they hooked up?
That they hooked up?
They hook up the first time, and then there's like 5 or 6 episodes of them just like in bed together.
I will say my favorite thing, one of my favorite things about this show and so before the show came out, I'm sorry, it's just funny at this point. It's just funny.
Totally. You had to have a sense of humor about Between Us because it took 10 years to get it. There were so many complications.
Well, and like mostly with what I'm about to say is that before the show even came out, we got this like statement that like
yes.
BLs aren't about NC scenes and there's not going to be sex unless it's necessary and all this stuff. And then literally the first thing that happens in the show is there's this like super intense sex scene.
Yeah.
And like, honestly, I understand the knee-jerk reaction from companies to want to be like, it's about more than the hooking up. But on the other hand, it's like, I almost feel condescended to when
100%.
they say that, because it's like, sure. And listen, I am pretty open about like The Spice isn't even my favorite thing to watch.
Right.
Like on a personal level, I enjoy the fluff. I enjoy the fluff in any kind of media that I am watching. I like fluffy, sweet, just like the like that's my jam.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes the spice is necessary to the plot, or it makes sense for those characters, or it's right for the storytelling. And like the condescension comes in when it's like, why are you assuming that the audience is only in it for that? Like that feels a little bit condescending to me. And there have been a couple of companies that have come out and done that, and I'm just like,
but you know what's funny is that the series that have become really popular for the love scenes, a lot of times they become popular for the love scenes because there's nothing else to talk about within the show. Like, I hate to say it, but prove me wrong. If you go and search a lot of these series where they only talk about the kissing, there's more to the show. If there's more to the show than the kissing, then like talk about that too. You can talk about both.
Right. They
And
can
so,
exist together.
yeah, in this situation, it's like, well, if your show's good and your story's there, people will talk about it, and people will talk about more than just the banging, because there's more there to talk about. Like,
because that's not the most important part
fans
of
are
the plot.
intelligent. Yeah.
Yeah. I did think that was funny that we got this whole statement, this whole thing about like it's about more than the NC scenes.
And then literally the next scene,
they're
was,
not
yeah.
gonna hook up if it's not necessary to the plot and all this. And I'm like, cool, rad, love it, love to see it.
Yeah.
And then it's literally the first episode.
I wonder
I
if
was like,
I wonder if the book has a lot of NC scenes. Maybe that's what they
Maybe?
were going at.
yeah,
Is that like WinTeam were like, because they were just hooking up for like the duration of like the beginning of their relationship, potentially.
I will say I did accidentally end up down like a bondage rabbit hole.
Oh, right, because we didn't know what hemp rope was.
Well, I knew what hemp rope is, like in theory, like I know that it's rope made of hemp.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I know
like,
what it is, but I was like,
the meaning of hemp rope.
Yeah, because he makes a statement. They're like joking. They're in bed, and Win is like, oh, we're not gonna be like Dean and Parm because the red thread, that's for children, like that's for the kids.
Right.
And then he pulls out a hemp rope and he like tosses it at him, and he's like, this is for us. And I knew it was like a sex thing. Like I knew, like I could tell based on how he was talking, but I was like, I don't understand the context here. And so I looked it up. I was like, because again, naturally curious person. The love of learning.
But here's my question: do you judge the people who are into the bondage?
No. Why? Okay. I would never kink shame. Why? Why would you judge? Do you?
No, absolutely not.
Don't kink shame them, Beth Ann.
I'm not kink shaming them.
No, so I did end up down like a bondage rabbit hole because hemp rope is traditionally used in like a specific form of
BDSM
bondage. It's like from like a Japanese bondage technique. I could tell you all about it. I've learned all about it, y'all. I know all the things about it. Yes.
I didn't even think about the idea that like different cultures have different bondage.
Well, I mean, I feel like anyone can practice this form of bondage. Like, I don't think it's limited.
Interesting. I am curious as to where, because I guess because I think of the West as being so sex forward, that I would think a lot of that stuff would come from the West.
I mean, the Kama Sutra, like,
right?
You know what I mean?
True,
it's actually like,
I've never even thought about it.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've never conceptualized. Not my thing.
Yeah.
Although I did read a very interesting BDSM analysis of Love in the Air. Fascinating.
Yeah, but so anyways, hemp rope is used in a very in
specific
a niche,
BDSM.
Yes, a niche area of bondage, of rope play.
I love that they
Japanese in origin.
Whole book of that.
I don't know that that's where this came from, but clearly that's where the origins of this joke in the show came from.
God, I love it.
And yes, apparently it's like the difference between. Can I talk about this? This is going on YouTube. I'm trying to decide if we're gonna get a strike. I don't know.
Can you not talk about these kinds of things?
Unclear. What minute are we at? Okay, 34 minutes. I think this is gonna be fine. If we can't monetize, it's fine. Whatever. I don't care. So I think I still have the page pulled up because I thought it was very interesting coming from the person that's like, I don't really like spice. It's the love of learning. It's the love of learning. Truly. So, okay, it's called Shibari, Shibari, Shibari rope bondage.
Is the implication that Win is into this because he has the hemp rope?
Well, no, he makes a joke. He's like, oh, it's left over from a project. That's why I have it. But I think that he like knows about it, and that's the origins of this joke.
Is it tied? No, pun intended, to hentai?
No.
Okay.
So Shibari, which translates to tie, is a type of kink or BDSM play that involves tying people with rope. It is typically you do it with hemp rope.
Isn't hemp rope pretty scratchy?
Well, it's a natural fiber, and apparently it is more expensive. It's also called Japanese rope bondage. Shibari is rooted in the adult entertainment and image making industry of the early 20th century.
Interesting.
So it originated as culturally specific erotic fantasy play.
Culturally specific, fascinating.
So over the past decade or so, it has become very popular outside of Japan.
In Thailand.
Yes, everywhere apparently. And so basically one of the differences between Shibari and I guess traditional rope. I don't know
Like
a ton about
bondage.
I don't know a ton about rope play and bondage, but like
Right.
according to this article that I read, one of the articles I read,
Yeah.
is that it's not always solely Shibari is not always solely focused on sexual pleasure. That's not always the case. It can lead to it, but it's like before or after, but it's not always the case. So like it says people often do feel aroused by the body awareness that they experience during and after Shibari, but not every experience needs to include sexual stimulation. So like the point of it is not necessarily sexual stimulation.
So
it's also
sitting around with your rope with your hands tied.
It says that pain can be an element of Shibari, but is not the purpose. So
Right.
like in a lot
I feel like that's true of bondage in general.
Yeah. So apparently it's essentially just like a different kind of rope play.
Fascinating.
And
I love that Between Us went here.
So here's the main quote is Western rope bondage entails more of a functional role or tying someone up for the purpose of restraining. On the other hand, Shibari cares more about the aesthetics of tying someone up. The former uses tying as a foreplay practice while couples get to have sex right after. Meanwhile, each tie means something in Shibari. And so you learn apparently there are like Shibari classes that you can go to and you like learn what the different like ties and knots and stuff mean.
Do you think a lot of sailors are into Shibari?
I don't know, but I thought it was fascinating.
That is really
I personally thought this was a fascinating little tidbit that I learned thanks to Between Us.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, WinTeam is multidimensional.
I was fascinated.
I feel like the pacing of this show with the WinTeam of it all could have been better. This was definitely a show that you can kind of go in and out of. That like you don't have to really pay attention that often. I will say pay attention to Bea and Prince because they are the best,
hands down,
the best couple. I will say the best couple in this show. My favorite couple in this show.
I'm stuck between them.
I like WinTeam and in Between Us. I like Bea and Prince in this.
I like Until We Meet Again.
Yeah.
I like Bea and Prince in Between Us. They're probably my favorite.
The one
I don't know, Manal and Pruk.
Yeah, that was very cute.
love Manal and Pruk. I love Sammy. I love everything about it. But
we didn't get a lot from
there.
them,
Wasn't
though.
a ton. There was more development that we got in Until We Meet Again, and I was
True.
so happy about it.
Yeah.
Bea and Prince, though.
Bea and Prince were interesting.
They need their own show.
We got that conversation a la My Only 12% in the bathroom where a very, very cute scene, but the dialogue made 0 sense for 2023.
Do you think it was a translation
thing?
That's
what I'm thinking. I really want to know. Maybe we should like have Mimi translate it because iQIYI is a little hit or miss on the translations I've noticed. And I don't know if that's iQIYI or if it's just like the production company.
Or if it's just a hard thing to translate, right? Because so often, like in language, a lot of it is like context and just like a cultural thing that you have to know.
Except for during the confession scene between Pruk and Manal, he's like, "Will you be my girlfriend?" And she says, "Yes, I'll marry you."
But same girl, because Boston is super hot. So like I get it. Like
I mean, as dramatic as Manal is, like I understand the implication. Same? But like, yeah, that happened in I Long Nai where they were basically like they both said I like you.
They said chob. They used the word
and
chob.
they translated it to I love you. And I'm like, y'all, we're fluent. You don't need to fool us.
Yeah, I do wonder if it was a translation thing with Bea and Prince in the bathroom because
the conversation is he's like, I have a condition. I'm a man who likes men. And Bea is like, bro, I want to kiss you. Bea is the one that kisses him in the first place.
And Prince says some people call it gay, which is like, it feels like a weird way to
retro.
Explain that.
Like everyone knows what gay is.
Right. And so I wonder if he's trying to express that like that doesn't define who he is as a person, that he's more than just a
Maybe.
gay person. He's like, this is just an aspect of my personality. Maybe that's where this is coming from.
But then we have the cute little moment that we got in My Only 12% where he's like, if you're gay, I'm gay.
Yeah.
I love that. It's actually very endearing. But yeah, I will be curious. I know that people did a write up on this on Twitter because when it first came out, people were really upset with the idea that like being gay is a condition.
Right.
Like, especially as like a lot of these production companies are led by gay men. So like feels weird. So maybe it is something lost in translation. And I'd really love to know if like that's the thing.
I do wonder. I also like as much as yes, shows are ways for all of us to learn, because B and Prince have some very amazing PSA moments for all of us, which the big one is, by the way, actors are allowed to date and love, and they can act and also date people, and it's none of our business.
Yeah.
10 out of 10, right?
Yeah.
But
also wear sunscreen.
Yeah, wear sunscreen, also very important. But I do wonder, like, yes, like a lot of these production companies are led by gay men, out gay men.
Mm-hmm.
Is it not maybe real for someone to feel like this is a condition I have, right? Like maybe it just like I understand from a fan's point of view and people watching it not wanting to glorify the thought that being gay is a condition.
Yeah.
But that's a real feeling some people have, that like this is a condition, this is a problem about me, this is a thing that I have that I can't help, right? Because like especially someone like Prince, who very much is like trying to at all times hide who he is because of the nature of his life,
and
being
his
a public
manager
figure.
has told him he has to,
right? And so sure, maybe it is the wrong way to talk about it and the wrong way, and it's incorrect and all of this stuff, but maybe for him as a character, that really is how he feels. And there are so many people that do feel that way, and that is like a real feeling and a real experience to go through.
Right. Yeah. And the best part about B is that he is like the greenest flag to ever have been made, because he's so honest about his feelings and he's so just earnest. And just when Prince says that, he's like, okay, cool. Like,
and he says, well, you're a boy and I like you, I'm gay too. Like he's very much like, we can do this together. He also has the sweetest moment. I mean, truly a green flag if there ever was one. Boy, when they're on the phone and they're talking on the phone, and he's like, and Prince like says something to him, and he's like, oh, I have to go, A's calling me, I have to go.
Yeah, he's like, he's like, because they had just had that he had just overheard the conversation with the manager where he's like, you might be uncomfortable because they haven't had that bathroom moment yet. And he's like, he basically is saying like, I like you without saying I like you. And he's like, I know that you could feel uncomfortable.
Oh, right. He says, do you feel uncomfortable being with me? Right.
Yes.
And B kind of freaks out a little bit because he wants to tell him like, no, I don't feel uncomfortable, I like you, I want to be with you, but he like freaks out.
He's gonna be scared,
right?
It's the cutest moment ever.
He freaks out, as we all do in certain moments. Like we all have those freak out moments. And he's like, oh, I have to go, A is calling me, and he hangs up, and then he immediately realizes, I handled this poorly. He immediately, like, you know how we all freely like, I have immediate regrets about this? He has immediate regret, but then he does something about it.
I loved it. He called him back and he was like, I don't feel uncomfortable. And then he screams like, I want to be by your side. He was like, will you let me be by your side? Which is funny that they have that moment. And then when they have that conversation in the bathroom and Prince is like, I'm gay. And he's like, yeah, we're already past that. Because I do love the fact that B initiated the kiss, right? Like Prince is sure of the fact that he likes men, but he is in the situation where he's not allowed to act on it, or he doesn't think he's allowed to act on it. And so it's B that gets to be the encourager of like, he doesn't necessarily know who he is or what like being gay is for him, but he's just so like black and white, where he's like, I like a boy, I kiss a boy, I don't care what the labels are, what it means, I just know that I like the person standing in front of me, and that's all that matters. And that's nice. It's a nice contrast to who Prince is because he has to care so much about everything, whereas B doesn't really have to. B only has to care about the person standing in front of him. And it's just like every step of the way, every conversation when they're having that confrontation with the manager at the end, and he's like, you can't be with him because he's an actor. And he's like, why not? He's like, I don't need to parade this in the streets. I just want to love the person that I love. And it's okay that I don't get to like tell the world.
Post couple pictures.
I know.
Yeah, I
It's
love them a lot.
perfect.
And I love in the finale at the end when they're talking and Prince again circles back to, he's like, just a little bit longer and then I'll quit acting and then we can be together publicly. And B is like,
Yes,
you don't have
another
to quit acting.
PSA.
He's like, don't quit acting. He's like, that makes you happy. And I'm okay with us
Waiting.
not being public
Yeah.
because all I need, he's like, I'm getting enough out of our relationship as it is. All
Yeah.
I need is to be with you. And it's enough for me that we know about it.
And he's like, we will wait until society changes and catches up and then we can be public because I know, like, he's like, I hope that can happen.
Yeah.
And that it means more for them to be in the industry publicly open than it would be for him to just like walk away.
Yeah,
so
this
perfect.
couple, they need their own show. They're so interesting. And
Ben's-
Prince's whole life is amazing.
Ben's, shout out Ben's, one of the best actors out there.
Truly.
The emotion that he carries without it being too much, and just like you look at Ben's and you feel what he feels. Like you just immediately, he's one of those actors that like you immediately imprint on and you're like, I want him to be happy. I need him to be okay.
At first I was like, I don't know if I like this couple or if I just like Ben's. I was like, do I like them or do I just like Ben? Am I in a situation like I was in 2 Moons where I was like, I just want Baz to get what he wants. Like I liked Baz so intensely and so much that I just wanted him to get what he wants.
We didn't know anything about Tay.
Yeah, and so I was like, I don't know if I like B and Prince or do I just like Ben's? Like, do I just like and then I realized no. Like B is such a walking green flag. Like this is a person who has never seen the color red in his life.
No.
Like truly, this man is a king amongst men. He is the only man. B is the only man.
He reminds me a lot of Jaws' character in Remember Me.
Except, no, because in Remember Me, Jaws' character does have some red flags.
Right. He does become a workaholic and
he can't put himself in first shoes. And he has questionable hair choices. Like lots of questionable actions by this man.
Okay. So maybe more of like Leon and Don't Say No.
No, because Leon was also a red flag.
Why?
Because he talk about communication issues. I love Leon and I don't think that like I think that Leon is the better of the two brothers.
Yes.
I think Leon is the better of the two brothers between Leo and Leon. Leon is definitely better of the two brothers.
Yeah.
But the whole the end, the way that whole situation ended, like there were troubles in paradise there. Like and then he comes back and is anyways.
The whole thing.
That man also had some red flags.
Yeah.
Name one red flag B has. One. Any of them.
Not that we can see.
I mean, besides the fact that he invited his friends over for New Year's and only let them eat one chicken before kicking them out, maybe that's the red flag. I don't know.
He's a bad friend.
Yeah.
But, you can
maybe that's the
friends.
red flag.
You can't replace a prince.
Yeah.
You can't replace
a prince. I love Benson Tay. And I really like Tay.
Yeah.
He's a good actor.
Speaking of good actors, I have said this since the moment I watched Yacht do anything.
Sweet Yacht.
Yacht did not get enough screen time. He never gets enough screen time. He's the most perfect boy ever. He always gets to play these horrible characters who have some kind of like weird like sex addiction. And it makes no sense. Luckily, they gave him a little more substance in Between Us. His chemistry with Oreo was precious. I loved this like sweet dynamic. Again, we're seeing this trope where the younger boy likes the older boy and the older boy's like, cool your jets. And the younger boy's like, it's cool. I like the old dudes. And like, it was just like, I really like the pacing of that story. I thought they handled the conflict of it really well. And that like, that Juan's character didn't draw it out anymore. He got to be mad appropriately. He was appropriately mad and was like, I told you I didn't want to meet in person, but you lied by omission. He didn't outright lie because Toon kept being like, I want him to trust me, and he keeps saying he doesn't want to meet me in person. And so
when he did keep like dropping hints, like on some level,
Yeah,
it was
so
on
many
Juan for
times.
not realizing
Yeah.
it. Like on some
he
level,
was definitely going through something.
Yeah.
He was stressed.
They were a cute, fun couple. I mean, we were Big Bank Bow 0 to 100 vibes at the end there in F12. I was like, okay, let's
Yeah.
reel it back in.
They were definitely a kiss on the first date, boys.
Okay, no, these boys,
Bang
we
on the
like,
first date.
we kissed in a very, and we were very sweet, and we're like, we're gonna take it slow, and literally Juan is like, I guess I can try dating you, and then literally like rips his clothes off, like,
I mean,
yeah, valiant effort, my dude,
wind
like, I don't
paved the
know.
way.
Like,
You know.
yeah, like I really appreciate how much you're dedicating to trying.
Those
Love that.
Those W brothers are aggressive.
One thing I do like is that his IRL name is Oreo and his show name is Juan, which means sweet. It's pretty cute. Like it's cute. Like it's cute. It's cute.
I would love to see more of them. I have seen Oreo around, but I haven't seen any of his acting that I can think of.
Yeah.
And so, but man, I love Yacht. He has done so much good work in so many shows as like the side character, the throwaway character. I loved his storyline in Seven Project. I want to see him. I don't care what he leads, but I think he deserves to lead.
Yeah.
When he's sitting in that room crying because like he saved the love of his life and he got mad at him because like obviously for reasons understandable.
He was going through something.
But he's just sitting in that room and like, oh, you just feel for him. And then he gets to come back and like
I will say him popping up at that resort and just like waving and be like P1. I was like
and Win was
I had so many feelings about it.
I was curious as to how they were going to do it because when Win was talking to Juan about, you know, his friend and he's like, but like give him a chance. Like he was trying for you. Like you're the, like, he was trying to follow your kind of lead. And when he had him on the phone, I was like, oh, that's a good way to do it.
It was very cute.
I thought that was very cute. And then Santa, the last brother, this child is a superb actor, plays the sweetest younger brother. He plays it so earnestly and so sweetly.
Wiu might be my favorite character in the whole show because I feel like Santa just got to live his real truth in this show. Like Santa just got to live his truth. And
he's young with being emotionally intelligent.
Yeah.
And he's like sweet and happy, but still understand. Like he's not that annoying, like
he understands what his brothers are going through, but he's happy and he's a kid and he's just like this. He's the little brother I deserved. I love my little brother. Like he is the perfect little brother. Like he's I mean, despite the fact that he like, you know, he's like, oh, P-Win, can I sleep in your room?
That
I'm
was
like,
really cute.
Like things like that where he's like, why are you going to carry him? Why can't he walk? Like cute little things like that where I'm like, okay.
He's what I imagine Gemini has talked about wanting an older sister because he like wanted that dynamic. That's what I imagine Gemini would be like as a younger brother.
I don't know, maybe.
Because he seems like trouble.
But Wiu's not trouble. He's just he's wholesome. He's just this wholesome kid. And I love that Santa gets to be a kid.
Yeah.
I think that is so fun for him. He is the sweetest. If you haven't watched our interview with Santa and Earth, go watch it because this is why I don't know him, but like I feel like he was living his truth in this role after the way that he interacted with us.
He played it so well.
After the like if you go and watch his Madan deck done with God, like watching him interact with just like other people that I like I have a pretty good sense of God's personality. Like Santa was living his truth in this show, I think.
Well, and I think the way that he is with Earth too goes to show you like he's just so sweet and like he kills it in this. And he's like the light, the heart, the like sweetness in a very heavy show at times. Yeah,
and he very much is this like he's got this endearing sort of way about him. I remember like it kind of catching me off guard when we were interviewing them.
Yeah.
Because we were kind of in a hurry. They had an appearance after our interview and like we wanted to very much be on time. It was like all of these things, like we were very like matter of fact with with this interview. And he like I remember him kind of catching me off guard with how endearing he was. With like it, then you can see it if you watch the interview, you can see it where I'm like, hold on, what? Because I went into it being such a fan of Earth.
Right.
And I was like, just not even really like thinking about Santa really.
Yeah, that's what I was so surprised with my only 12% was just how good Santa is.
Santa's a great little actor.
I can't wait to see what he does in like 5 years.
I can't wait to see what he does next year. Like he is very talented as a kid. Like he's a good kid. He's
he has
good
so
seed.
much potential.
He does.
I can't wait to see what Wabi Sabi does next. We don't have really anything. There's been no announcements.
No, I mean Boone obviously popped up at the Dumundi,
right? But yeah,
2023.
As far as Wabi Sabi Productions, I don't know of anything because like it took forever for Between Us, and I guess that was their focus. And New is directing all these GMMTV things, so like I'm curious. Yeah. The music in the show was good, of course.
Of course.
Shout out Boy Sampab. He kills it every time. I love that they used a lot of the same music in both series. So it like you were saying, it like harkens back to the feelings that you had in that first show.
Yeah, overall, I thought this was a good one. I don't think because we get this question a lot, right? Which is like, what are shows I have to watch? Or what are shows I should tell my friends they have to watch?
Yeah.
I don't know that I would put this one on the have to watch. I would put Until We Meet Again on your must watch.
Yeah.
I don't think I would put this on a must watch, but this is a really nice one to watch when you don't have anything else to watch. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I don't mean that in a mean way.
Right.
Like, because there are a lot of things that even if you have nothing to watch, you still shouldn't watch. Like, it's still not worth it.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the situation here. The situation here is like, overall, I struggled through like the first 6 episodes. It was really hard for me to push myself to keep watching it because I was just like, it hadn't hooked me.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I did end up like really identifying and feeling for these characters. And like, this is a good one. It was a good one. Was it the best thing I've ever watched? No. It also wasn't bad. It also like, I understood the characters more than I did. It's a nice compliment to Until We Meet Again. If you love that show, definitely watch this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a question I had recently. And I'm curious if the listeners, if you got into BL within the last year or two, what does your watch list look like? Because there's so many things that came out within the last year or two because we came out of COVID and like everything that was like backlogged got made and like released. And so I'm curious like what the deep dive looks like, right? Do you watch a current show and then go back like what 5-6 years now
to try and find
find what kind of paved the way, right? Like, because when I got into BL, Sodas was still on Netflix, so it was attainable. Whereas it's not, unless you deep dive into GMMTV, you can't find Sodas. You're not gonna know why you should watch Sodas, right?
Yeah.
Because the same was true of he's coming to me. Because You're My Boy.
That took us a while to watch.
It didn't get released on YouTube because I guess maybe it was somewhere else. And like the things that were on Line TV,
they didn't all have subs at the time.
Like a lot of that stuff is going to Viki. So unless you even like look at the right streaming service.
I will say I saw on TikTok some people talking about how like they have been waiting years to watch. I Told Sunset About You and I Promise You the Moon because like they know who they know who BKPB are, but then they've seen clips and they've heard people talk about these shows, but they've never seen them. Yeah. And so like I have seen a lot of people on TikTok being like, oh my God, I can finally watch I Told Sunset About You, which oh my God, I wish I could watch I Told Sunset About You for the first time again. The way that emotionally really affected me.
So distinctly remember like where I was, the setting I was in, what that the sense memory around I Told Sunset About You is unlike any other show.
That show made such an impact on me. But yeah, I would be really curious to know what everyone's watch list looks like, where you started, what kind of rabbit holes you ended up going down and things like that, and why you ended up going to maybe older shows.
Right.
Because I went back and started watching things like I watched Sodas for Off Jump Pole. Like, that's why I watched Sodas. I liked Off.
I wasn't a fan because I got you into BL and I gave you a list.
And then I very quickly diverted from that after you told me not to watch Until We Meet Again. And then someone else told me to watch it and I watched it. And then I was like, oh.
because you and I are very different as to what we like. Like, I don't really care for the like overly dramatic, intricate storylines. I still have trouble understanding all the different connections of Until We Meet Again. I like a little kind of more surface level sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And so it didn't appeal to me. And knowing what would hook you, I mean, I will say I did it right with Trapped.
Yeah,
and I did it right with
Trapped.
I did it right with Love Mechanics Out of Order.
Yeah, that was an accident, but I literally couldn't get War out of my head. Like that, honestly. Okay, End of Love. Huge shout out War. Huge shout out Yin. Huge shout out Prom. Huge shout out Baby Benz. We call him Baby Benz. That Benz.
Yes.
Huge shout out to Folk.
Yes.
Huge shout out to so many people involved.
Yes. When?
Why? Why? Just like why? But I very much after watching that show, I was like, okay, Mark is a bad bitch.
Yes.
And I love him. And also I could not get War out of my head. And then you told me, oh, did you know War has a music video? And then it was all over for me. I was dead.
You know what we should do is we should do an episode about shows that have either been like, I'll have to develop this in my head. But where I'm going with this is that like we waited a really long time for the full series of Love Mechanics, and that show did not disappoint.
No, so good.
Oh my gosh. Like, talk about taking an idea and like a fan favorite thing and really developing it and putting a lot and like leveling
and
up.
Anyways, we're getting off track, but I would love to know what your watch list looks like. What is on your must watch? Is this on your must watch? It's not on mine, but maybe it's on yours.
Yeah. I mean, for the B Prince of it all.
Yeah.
And Boone Prem. I do love, Boone.
Prem. Such a good actor.
Quality. Can't wait to see what they do next. This has been Let's Talk BL. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow all things Let's Talk BL at Let's Talk BL.